Three, two, one.
All right, look at that perfect sync.
Hello and welcome back to The Thing It Is We Do, and today we are all about that bass, no treble, Rogersbase. Hello.
Never heard that before. I've never heard that before. But thank you for having me. Always a pleasure. Thanks also for being on the mini reverie the other day. That was very fun.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was good fun.
Of course.
I really enjoyed that mini format.
Well, it was funny because the entire comment section was people saying, wow, this is literally an episode of Blue Banana with Rogersbase. They finally had a guest on the show. So
a good test run for a guest, I suppose.
There you go.
Mr. Bass, would you like to tell us a bit about yourself and what you do on this YouTube platform?
Sure. So I am what I like to call a variety YouTuber. I do a whole bunch of different stuff. Primarily anime, manga, and video games, but occasionally songs get thrown in there, vlogs get thrown in there. Pretty much I do videos on whatever I feel like talking about. So
if there is a niche on YouTube, you're covering it, it sounds like.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess primarily, too, I'm more known as a streamer than someone who does videos, especially nowadays where most of my videos are spliced up things from my live streams, and I've just found that to be a much more fun way to make content and directly interact with my audience. So, yeah.
Is that primarily on Twitch, or do you stream on YouTube as well?
I would only stream on YouTube if they added a couple things, but no, it's actually a mix. I'm in a weird situation where my Twitch account was partnered years ago, so I was actually grandfathered in where I could stream on both platforms. So I actually don't have an exclusivity thing going on there. So what I'll do is I'll stream watch-throughs or things that I think are going to get hit with copyright on Twitch because it's a smaller audience and I don't care as much about it. And on YouTube, I'll stream my primary stuff, which is like Nintendo Direct reactions and obviously the weekly One Piece chapters.
So you've been on this platform for quite some time, I believe. When did you start making videos and what inspired you to do so?
Yeah, so I initially started making videos because I was doing a podcast with a buddy of mine that was a YouTuber. So shout out to Shofu, primarily known for doing Pokemon videos. And so when I was in college, I was writing for a video game website called Gaming Vice, which focused on like FGC, fighting game related things. And we were sort of diving into doing stuff on Pokemon. And I noticed there was this guy who was uploading Pokemon videos, and I thought, man, this would be really cool to put on the website. So we got in contact with each other, and basically it was like, look, hey, I could get you into E3 if you let us put your videos on the website. So me and Shofu linked up, became really good friends. We were friends all through college, and then me, another college buddy of mine, and Shofu, when Smash 4 first got announced, so this was a long time ago, got together and we were like, hey, we should really do a podcast talking about Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS because they're adding all these cool characters. So we did that. Shofu was uploading the podcast to his YouTube channel, and then his subscribers were like, Roger should really make a YouTube channel. He's interesting. And so I started doing YouTube videos. That would have been like mid 2013. And so I started by like uploading some Pokemon battles, and I was doing Akuno Hana reviews and like Attack on Titan reviews, which you can no longer find because I was totally using panels and all this other stuff. And my first like big video project that I did was a cover of Let It Go from Frozen. And at the time, that was like the holiday season that Frozen came out, and there were no male covers of Frozen. So the video took off, got published on like all these other Broadway blogs, and people were like, this is the version of Let It Go that you should check out. And then the channel honestly kind of like exploded from there. I started uploading more Attack on Titan stuff, more One Piece stuff. And unfortunately, like I said, a lot of those early reviews have sort of like disappeared with time just due to copyright things and how I had to change things over. But yeah, I just sort of like picked it up from there, and then I officially went full-time in 2017 when my revenue from YouTube became more than my revenue at work, and I had saved up some money, and I'm like, I think I could do this full-time. Man, I haven't looked back.
Fantastic. I think there's a lot to dissect there. Firstly, I'm looking at your Frozen video right now from 8 years ago, I believe.
Yeah.
It has almost 250,000 views, which for 8 years ago, incredible.
It was really cool too, considering the reaction to it from people that like were not at all involved in the anime or manga or gaming side of things at all, right? Because it ended up getting picked up by these other theater websites. So I got this weird group of theater kids very early on that also happened to like anime and manga and gaming. So it made for a really solid, base, no pun intended, of early viewership.
Of course. I do want to talk to you a bit about that that split focus, was it very early on that you started doing everything, or did it start with gaming and then you sort of slowly expanded, oh, I should talk about manga as well, etc.?
No, it was very early on. Like, I mean, the very beginning of the channel. I was uploading, like I said, those manga reviews, the Pokemon battles, the songs. Then there was a point, too, when I was doing live reactions and reviews to, there was an ABC show called Once Upon a Time about, like, live-action Disney characters and them forgetting who they are. And it was just a really fun show, so I uploaded reviews to that, and that is obviously not in the realm of any of the other things I was talking about outside of maybe Frozen. So yeah, I don't know. It's just been from the get-go that I've been a variety channel, and I've sort of liked that because I found that people from the very early stages of the channel started subscribing for me as opposed to just the content that I was making, whether that be One Piece or Nintendo or whatever. You know, and obviously you'll get viewership spurts over time when you do something that's really popular or you're doing a lot of the same thing. But I've always sort of found like that consistent slow growth has worked better for me than the spikes, because the few times that I have had big growth spikes, it's always been an audience that I haven't really liked very much. So
would you like to name and shame any of those audiences?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'll talk about it. Like, obviously, One Piece was a huge one, too. When I really started hammering and doing the One Piece theories, I got a huge jump in terms of the One Piece audience that would get furious whenever I said anything negative about One Piece. And I'm like, look, I've always been sharing my thoughts. You just happened to come in during a time where I was really excited about the manga. And so that was obviously a big one. That was also one to the point where, like, not a lot of people know this. I dropped One Piece on my channel for like 6 months. So this was after the Big Mom Amnesia thing in Wano Country. I think the only one I really did was I did a 3-chapter reaction video to the Yasu stuff. And then other than that, I don't think I came back until like maybe 20 or 30 chapters after that. And I was like, well, I have to do something that appeals to my audience. So that's how I started doing the watch throughs with Hunter x Hunter. Started uploading those. And then the watch throughs became a regular part of the channel and blended back in with One Piece once I was like, okay, I like what I'm doing now. I'm not burnt out on it again. And I found the right way to go about making the content. So yeah.
That is really interesting because essentially, I guess what you're saying is you stopped catering for a massive part of your existing audience for half a year. When you started making that sort of content again, did they all just come back like that, or did it take time to slowly build that up again?
It was a weird situation because if I remember correctly, that was also when I switched over to only doing the official, because Viz had done the thing where they're like, okay, we're going to do simultaneous release. And so there was already that kind of shift where people were angry that I was doing the official instead of just doing the scans again. And so that blended with the Hunter x Hunter stuff, right? Where people were angry with me for the One Piece stuff, but also excited that I was watching the series that they've wanted me to watch for a long time. So I'd say like the core viewership really didn't go anywhere. They might maybe stopped watching the One Piece content as much, but that's fine. Because again, the people who now watch the One Piece content are there for my reactions and like my thoughts on it, as opposed to me being like, here's what happened in the chapter. Wow, wasn't this great? Oda's awesome. And so I feel like, and that's never been the kind of content I want to make, you know, so.
One of the things I guess we should highlight is that, Roger, you were the OG Viz good boy, and still potentially the only one who doesn't use material from the anime or the manga in your videos.
Yeah. Yeah, occasionally I'll use anime stuff, so long as I think it's okay and I'm like splicing it in the same way that I do for my watch through stuff. But yeah, the manga, once it went simultaneous release, just because, and I guess we'll talk about this earlier during the video, like a huge portion of my demographic is like sponsored videos. And I shouldn't say my demographic, but a huge portion of the videos that I make, right, are like sponsored videos. And I love working with brands. That kind of stuff is fun for me because I come from the marketing side. That was my day job before I started doing YouTube. So I don't know. That's always sort of been what I find intriguing and like working with companies that I've wanted to work with. And I could sort of see the wave. And I realized like, okay, well, if I don't want to cater to just a One Piece audience as much, but the people who are there for me for One Piece, who like my One Piece content, they're going to watch me no matter when I upload the video. So I'm like, it's really not going to hurt me, like in the long run, to upload these videos alongside the official release, it's only going to get me in the good graces of the companies, while at the same time still appealing to my core audience and not just the people who were there because I was like the first one to upload. I'm sure Joyboy could tell you the same thing. Like the early days with me, Joyboy, and Tekking, where Tekking, he's an OG of the community. He's been doing Bleach and One Piece and stuff for even way longer than me.
12 years or so now, I think.
Right. But his One Piece stuff really started to pop off around the time when me and Joyboy's channels really started like erupting and finding their way into the algorithm. So it was always the three of us going back and forth like, who's going to upload it first? We're going to see who's going to upload it first. Seeing who's going to be first in the algorithm. So it was almost like a relief to be removed from that race, where I no longer had to be like, oh my God, I got to get this out right away and edit it right away. It was just like, okay, I'll get to it when I get to it.
I completely agree with you. I made that decision, I think, probably about 2 years ago now, to just review the official, and like the relief I feel on a Friday when everyone else is losing their minds over scans and such, and I'm just chilling in my room like, yeah, you do that. I'm fine.
Yeah, you do you. Exactly. And that's not, I don't have anything against anybody who's making scan content, because again, like there's a lot of places in the world in which they can't access an official release of One Piece. So I totally get it. Like, get the views, go for it, get the growth, that's fine. But I'd say that like if you don't want just a One Piece audience, avoid the race if you can, if you're somebody who's new into making One Piece content, because it's only going to hurt you in the long run.
Yes, I think that for all of the disadvantages that I would preach about split audiences on my channel, I think this is something that has benefited you pretty exceptionally greatly, because I think that is a very difficult decision to make if you are strictly a One Piece channel. If that's the only thing you're talking about, the pressure to be on the forefront of all of the hot topics it's immense.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially because you don't know what's going to take off sometimes too. Sometimes it could be a theory that everyone's just talking about on Twitter, and then all of a sudden, if you don't hit that wave of like the 2 to 3 hours when that one theory is trending and everyone's talking about that topic, it's not going to matter when you upload your video, because people will be past it or the next chapter will have disproved it. And so, yeah, removing myself from like the theory game and from the rat race of getting the chapter reviews and stuff up first has been immensely nice, because now I could just focus on streams and upload when I want to upload. So
could you take us through the process of how a Rogersbase video gets made?
Sure. Is there something that is trending that I enjoy? Is the answer yes? I make a video on it. Is there something that is controversial that I feel like talking about in regards to something entertainment related? The answer is yes. I probably end up making a video on it, or at the very least doing a stream about it. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of things, is because so much of my content is spliced up stuff from my live streams, is there's sort of this natural back and forth with my audience where I could see they're interested in something that maybe you wouldn't necessarily think would be something that my anime gaming audience would like. So for example, like when Spider-Man came out last year, when No Way Home was getting all the trailers, I knew, because everybody in my chat was like, there's a No Way Home trailer dropping, you should upload a live reaction. And I think most people who have an anime or gaming channel would be like, why would I upload a live reaction to the Spider-Man trailer? But my audience knew that I was interested in it, and they knew I was probably going to have a hype reaction when Green Goblin shows up. So they're like, record it and upload it and see how it does. And that video was one of my best performing videos for that year. So that sort of process has seemed to work.
121,000 views, it says.
There you go.
For an 8-minute reaction, it's pretty damn good.
Especially when it's on a topic that has nothing to do with the rest of my channel. So, yeah.
Yeah, and especially if you were going to do it anyway whilst you were live streaming.
Exactly. I'm sitting there live streaming watching it. I might as well upload it and turn it into a video, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. So your channel kind of semi-functions as a live stream highlights channel.
Kind of. Yeah, kind of. I think every once in a while when I do focus on making a series, it's something like the watch-throughs, which I guess you could technically also call highlights because they're spliced up reaction recaps of things that I did on the live streams. But I have a lot of fun with those videos, and so does my editor, because we sort of turn them into like a Toonami video type thing, right? Where in the beginning we do a little intro that's nicely edited, right? In the middle, we do a sort of like, oh, here's a trivia segment. And then at the ending, I do either a character ranking or talk about something that's interesting to me. And I think that way of making content has been really fun for me, and I found it really fulfilling. And then every once in a while when I do upload like a video, right, where it's edited, recorded on a camera and not from a live stream, which is like once in a blue moon, those are usually parts of greater series. So like last year in May, I handed over my channel to my audience. I said, for a week, I'm going to do videos on whatever you want me to do videos on. This is the time. You've been complaining. You want me to do Vinland Saga. You want me to do Mob Psycho. Fine. I'll do it this week and then never ask me for it ever again. And then I did it. And then ironically enough, the Vinland Saga video took off. And one of the other videos I did, people asked about a Bleach video. And so I did a video reacting to the music from the original Bleach anime. Because I've already read Bleach, but my audience doesn't really know that because I never talk about it. I've read the whole thing.
Bleach music absolutely slaps.
Yeah. Oh, did I say Bleach? I meant Berserk. See, it's late. I've been doing sponsored stuff all day. I'm talking about Berserk. So, Bleach, I also did a watch through for. So there you go. See, this is what comes with the variety channels. I mix and match stuff. But no, I did the Berserk music, excuse me. I did a reaction to the Guts theme. And that video ended up doing really well in addition to the Vinland Saga video that I did. And so I found like, oh, that was maybe a good decision to hand over my audience my channel for about a week, because then I was able to get some cool videos out of it that I never would have made before. And those were all edited videos. They were not clips from live streams. They were, things that I put together, sometimes even scripted parts of. So, yeah.
That is both fascinating and terrifying. I don't think I would ever be brave enough to just hand over any of my channels to the audience. Maybe Dude in a Room, because I care about this a lot.
Yeah, Dude in a Room for sure. Yeah, but your Dude in a Room, it's ironic though, because just speaking as a friend and a fellow content creator, that stuff that you make is like the most fascinating stuff for me. Like I will actively tune in, seriously, I will tune into like all your Dude in a Room stuff. I've got notifications on for that channel. Like I really genuinely like it, because I think it's more of an insight into you as opposed to something that we're all already talking about anyway. And I feel like all of us that make One Piece content, right? Like I feel like our community is very tight-knit, and I feel like for the most part, everybody gets along with each other. But I would also say that the majority of us probably don't watch, I don't know some other drama then. If you're shaking your head back and forth, I don't know, there's some stuff going on. We'll have to talk off camera. But for the most part, I found that the majority of the community gets along with each other in terms of the One Piece content creators. But ironically enough, I would also say that most of us probably don't watch other One Piece content. Like we're not spending our day looking up and seeing, what this person thought about this thing, unless it's like a particularly hyped chapter, in which case, like with 1044, for example, I'm like, I want to see what Liam thought of this. I want to see what Tekking thought of this. I want to see what Braga thought of this. But on the whole, we're not sitting there watching it because that's the content we're making anyway. That'd be like somebody who's a baker watching videos on how to bake bread. It's like, why would you do that? You're already doing this.
Or the person who works as a full-time chef coming home and cooking dinner, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
You've made a lot of great videos in your time, as we've gone over. Which one are you most proud of?
Can I say a series?
Sure, you can break the rules.
I'm going to break the rules because I'm Rogersbase, so I'm going to break the rules. The thing I'm most proud of was my Japan vlog series. This was from 2019. This was amidst when I dropped One Piece and was doing Hunter x Hunter. And it was something that I wasn't necessarily sure a lot of people were going to enjoy. And obviously the viewership on those videos was much lower because it was more of a travel vlog type thing. But ironically enough, one of the videos from that series, which was my walkthrough of One Piece Tokyo Tower, has gone on to become one of like my top 12 most watched videos of all time. People really resonated with the video and enjoyed it, and I had a blast making it. And that was also the first time I worked with my now regular full-time editor. So it's kind of weird because that was where our relationship started, but that was also at a very volatile time in the history of my YouTube channel where I didn't know what I was going to do because I had sort of pigeonholed myself into just making One Piece content for about a year and moved away from the variety thing. That's where I started my channel in the first place. And so it was a risk that I took, but it's one that every time I ask my own viewers and subscribers, like, what's something you like? They always will point back to those Japan vlog videos and be like, those were so much fun. I'm so sad those videos didn't do better. And it's the kind of thing where I want to tell them like, hey, look, I don't really care if they didn't do well. I'm going to do them next time I travel anyway, because I like them. So, yeah, I would say that's the series I'm most proud of, are the Japan vlogs. I love them.
Well, what video are you least proud of then?
Least proud? Oh, that's a good question. That wasn't on the thing, was it?
No, I'm being sneaky.
This is good. I mean, this is good. I have to think about it, though. You got to give me a second. That I'm least proud of? I would probably say, this is going to sound weird, but my early One Piece reviews. Because the reactions have always been something that I have loved doing. It's just fun sitting there and reading the chapters for the first time and giving my overall thoughts. The reviews, on the other hand, I really enjoyed doing when I first started my channel, but as time went on, it was like, I feel like I'm regurgitating the same talking points as everybody else. I feel like I'm not really adding anything to this conversation. I understand that I should upload this because it's going to do well for me and the video is going to perform well, but I don't enjoy making this. And so, as weird as that is to say, because I love doing the One Piece videos now, like it's a highlight for my Sunday as it's a highlight for the people that are watching it. Like, I genuinely love having that back and forth. But I think being removed from the live aspect of it and just sitting down and doing One Piece reviews was probably the least rewarding that I've ever felt making videos on YouTube, which is why I don't do them anymore.
We are so wildly different people. In our niche, you are probably the most prolific person who works with brands, often doing stuff with Nintendo and even Japanese companies, which is pretty much unheard of for the One Piece YouTube sphere.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a treat. I mean, I feel very blessed to be able to work with them. I think the big part of it is I'm like very much a rule follower, right? If there's something where they're like, oh, we don't like this from certain kind of creators, then I'm like, cool, I just won't do it. It's just the kind of thing where it's like, if it means that I get to do a cool project with Nintendo, or like the WT100 thing last year was Shueisha for the character popularity poll. It was so fun to watch that video and be like, oh my God, I'm on Japanese TV talking about Big News Morgans. Like, this makes everything worth it. Which I understand completely. Not everybody is like that. But again, I come from the marketing side of things because I used to work in social media for years prior to doing YouTube. So it's the kind of thing where it's like, that's more in the line of what I find fulfilling in the first place. And I joke about it, like I see the brands like Infinity Stones, right? Like, I've got my Infinity Gauntlet and I'm like, okay, good. What are the gaming brands that I like? Well, I love Nintendo, so boom. I gotta work with Nintendo, exactly.
Shueisha.
Boom. Exactly. Well, Shueisha, not so much. I mean, Shueisha, they played by the rules, and I played by the rules that one time, but still in all, I don't know how many times I'm gonna be working with them. But like Crunchyroll and Funimation, for example, I did a whole cooking series with them last year for the episode 1000 thing, so that was great. So that's another one to throw in the Infinity Gauntlet. Like, I needed a computer, for example, back in like 2016, so I reached out to Alienware because I knew they do like really good gaming computers. They liked my content. They started working with me. I've been working with them ever since. So like, there's another one. Alienware, throw it in there. And then it's fun every once in a while to like find a brand that I actively like, just like in my everyday life. So for example, there's a certain type of knife that I really like that's made by this company called Kuma Knives. So I went out of my way to make a cooking video so I could work with Kuma Knives just for that video. And just to like fulfill some need within myself to be like, oh, I've worked with this company. So yeah, but I mean, I enjoy it, and I always find natural ways to implement it into the video. And a lot of the times too, it's sort of become a meme on the channel. So Nintendo is very strict, for example, with FTC guidelines, like super strict. You always have to mention the game was provided by Nintendo. Like, even if it's something years later that you're playing, if they gave it to you, you still have to mention it. So it's become a meme now where in the top corner of my screen on all my gaming streams, I just have a hashtag free game there eternally with a little Mario hat on it. And every time I do like a playthrough stream or something like that, I'm like, and by the way, shout out to Nintendo, hashtag free game, hashtag free product. And no one's really bothered by it because they know it's all, you know, part of the game. So no pun intended.
Yeah, I like that you've made it part of, I suppose I would describe it as your channel culture. You said it was a channel meme. I think like sponsorships can be seen as selling out and all that sort of thing if you do it incorrectly. But if you integrate it in a very genuine way, like it sounds you have, then they can actually boost your channel culture. Absolutely.
And then it obviously helps with other brands in the future too, because one, you can then have a huge doc of a bunch of videos that you've done to say, hey, are you a gaming brand or an anime brand? Here are some videos I've done with other brands that were very happy with the work. And additionally, once a video does really well and you up your rate, you just go to the next brand with the new rate. And so you keep upping your rate and upping your rate till it gets to like these weird numbers that you're like, are you sure you want this for this kind of video? But okay. But yeah, I think it's interesting you brought up like that it's part of the channel culture, because I think you are right. But I think the reason why my audience hasn't really been turned off of it, despite the fact that I do them all the time, is because from the get-go, like from day one, I have not worked with brands that I do not actively like. And I think it is so easy when you are a big YouTuber who's constantly getting, sponsorship emails from VPNs or from, I don't know, like other examples of things. I don't know, VPN is like the most common one that I see 10 times a day, which is why I said it. Yeah. But, it's so common to then fall into the trap of like, well, these are how I'm going to do my integrations. But what I found is that people do eventually get turned off if you do a big group of those one after the other, as opposed to something that is, like you said, something natural that's included on the channel, something like Nintendo, something like Alienware if I'm playing a game on the computer, or even Crunchyroll or Funimation. Because, at the end of the day, Crunchyroll is where I'm watching my anime in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your thought process behind making a thumbnail?
That's actually funny because I never really thought about it until, and this is a little bit of inside baseball, you started posting stuff in the Reverie DM group. So spoiler alert to anyone watching, there is a secret Reverie DM group on Twitter in which all the One Piece content creators talk to each other. And it's the Illuminati of the One Piece community. I know Ty jokes about it on King of Lightning streams, but it actually exists. You started relatively recently giving people advice on thumbnails in those DM conversations, and I found it just really fascinating. And I really started taking note of that during my Naruto watch through last year, where this would have been, I think, like June or July. I had a template for my Naruto videos that was really nice, very appealing, very Totally Not Mark-esque, that I really liked, but they did not work in the algorithm. And I've always sort of had a template for my Smash Brothers reactions where it's a big thing of my face, whatever the reaction that I find most humorous of the video, the Smash Brothers fire in a slash or diagonal or whatever other shape you want. And then
like the funky energy slash.
Right, exactly.
I think I recall.
Right. Yeah. And then an image of whatever it is I'm talking about, a very clear image of like, okay, this is Fire Emblem, this is Xenoblade, whatever. And then occasionally I'll put a logo on it. Sometimes I won't put any text on it, but that's that. And I started doing that with Naruto, and instantly, overnight, not only did it help the current videos, but I went back and I added the new thumbnail format for the old Naruto videos, and then they started getting more views in the algorithm. And so I'm like, well, why change a good thing? I'll just stick to that. Now, occasionally, if I'm doing like a special video, right, I'll try to find a way to integrate all the things we're talking about, or make it where it's relatively clean. I don't really like super messy thumbnails. I obviously fall victim to it constantly. I'm sure if you did analysis of my thumbnails, you'd be like, well, actually, this one is all very messy.
Actually, Roger.
But yeah, on the whole, I mean, it's pretty simple. I've got a couple templates that I throw things together with, and that's that. I've got a standardized font. So I guess that's another thing, too, people don't know about my channel, is my standardized font is actually the official Nintendo font. So the font name is Nintendo_U, and it was what was used for the UI of the Wii U and the 3DS.
Which is interesting because it kind of gives you a lot of subconscious credibility with your content based on Nintendo stuff, that you have that font.
Liam, it's almost like I'm doing it on purpose. Yeah. This is amazing.
I know. Yeah. But it's one of those things that I think people will look at, not know, and go, it doesn't make a difference, but like in the wise words of Red Letter Media, you didn't notice it, but your brain did.
Exactly.
I think it's also very inspiring because I do go on and on and on at great length about thumbnails, but people like you prove that you can be successful on YouTube without being stringent and hyper-focused on them.
100%. And actually something that is worth noting, because this goes back to the conversation we were having about variety, I find that having a thumbnail template that is shared across different topics is super helpful. So like, because I started using the thumbnail template that I use for the Smash Brothers reactions, which like always blow up anytime there's a new Smash character, those always get like hundreds of thousands of views. And I found that using that same format for everything, whether that be a reaction to a One Piece Odyssey trailer or a reaction to, a new trailer for a movie or something, I've consistently used that fire format. And it's funny because then you'll look back to back. I'll upload 2 videos in a day, one that's a One Piece related thing and what's a Kingdom Hearts related thing, right? 2 seemingly non-connected audiences, but because I use the share thumbnail format, they have about the same amount of views. The only time I ever really differentiate from that format is from my live reaction streams on Sunday, which have the standardized Nintendo font with the One Piece lettering, which is also not the official One Piece logo because I play nice with these companies. I have the numbers underneath. My new logo that was made by Steve Yurko of the One Piece podcast, the new stylized version of the skull. And then images that are drawn by my regular thumbnail artist now, who's Kentaro PJJ on Twitter. Amazing. Shout out to James. And every week he'll read the chapter early, figure out what people are talking about, and then we'll draw whatever it is that he thinks I'm going to like the most. We'll upload it in a drive, and then we do a live reaction to his thumbnail drawing during my live stream. And then after the stream is over, cool. I use the thumbnail drawing. And so it's a really cool way to actually implement the thumbnails into the content of the video, and people actively look forward to it. They're like, all right, but when are you showing the thumbnail art this week?
It's great. That's a fantastic reveal. Has it ever been the case where he's completely missed the mark and you've just been like,
Never.
What were you thinking?
Not once. He's been doing this for me for 3 months now, and every single one he's been like right on it, to the point where sometimes he does too much and I'm like, dude, I can't even use all this. I want to, but it's going to make the thumbnail messy. Yeah, James is incredible.
I will say, I'm looking at that One Piece logo now. I really like it.
See, there you go.
The One Piece Pokeball fusion. It's pretty fantastic.
Which, of course, was my classic logo. I mean, it's the logo that's on my very iconic Pillow-sama over here, right? My classic logo that I did in like 5 minutes on Photoshop in 2016 or whatever. But even then, I think, again, because we come from a marketing background, there was a lot of thought put into that, right? Where I knew my standard content was One Piece. So I knew a Jolly Roger had to be implemented. And then I thought, okay, well, my other way that I started was really Pokemon. Pokemon is what Shofu's channel was about. It's what we talked about at Japan Time along with Smash Brothers. I'll put a Pokeball in there. And so it started as a bandana on the logo. And then I was like, you know what would be cool? To implement Smash Brothers, because that's my favorite Nintendo series. So that's what did the cross in the middle, the Smash Brothers cross. And then I thought, okay, well, I can isolate the red of the bandana in one corner of it. And then you know what? Another thing that I did with my channel was Disney songs. So how about we just add to the curvature of the bones a little bit where it seems like a Mickey Mouse ear. Okay, well, let's do that. And then I loved Studio Ghibli movies. I've always loved Studio Ghibli movies. And so I thought, okay, well, I want to make it where if you look at the silhouette of the original Rogersbase logo and you remove from it the Smash Brothers cross and the Pokeball, you'll get the little tree spirits from Princess Mononoke. So there were a lot of different things that were implemented into that logo that has obviously evolved over time, but I think speaks to, once again, like the variety of my channel in the first place.
This kind of thought is insane. That logo is so much more detailed than I originally thought it is.
Oh, yeah. It's stylized now in a way where if for future videos, you know, if I ever want to make like a mascot of the logo, you could easily throw that on the head of any type of character or any type of business attire. I think someone who really succeeds at this is Afro Senju. Shout out to him. Really incredible gaming videos. And he uses sort of that same type of format where he's got this like panda caricature that he uses for the head, but then swaps it onto a bunch of different bodies. And so I was even from the get-go with that original logo thinking I could turn this into something similar to that years down the line. I didn't have the resources for it at the time. I wasn't thinking about it, you know, where it was a short-term goal of mine, but it was something long-term that I wanted to implement, and now I have.
Rogersbase does do a lot of very sneaky critical thinking.
I do. I don't come off that way, but I actually very much, you know, am a critical thinker, so...
Mentioned earlier that there were that you didn't have the time or resources or whatever to implement your ideas. Wow, I'm going to start that question again.
Go ahead, please, by all means.
That was a terrible, terrible transition.
See, what you should do, Rogersbase style, keep it in the video. Keep it in. People will like that.
What I'm getting at, is there anything you would like to do on YouTube now but don't have the time or resources to do?
Yes, and in fact, this was something that was going to start right before COVID, and then now it's at the point where I can't really do it anymore. I had planned, because I have access, I live in LA, for those of you who don't know, I had access to YouTube Space, which was the building in which YouTube allows local creators to use the different stages and use lights and things like that. I had planned midway through 2020 to start a video podcast series with a full-blown set that would have been filmed at YouTube Space once a week. I would have gone every Friday, filmed 2 episodes that would have gone out on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and they would have been every single week. I would have had guests come in, we'd record everything on that Tuesday. I would short-term edit one that I think is really interesting to go up the Wednesday, and the other one would go up Saturday. Unfortunately, COVID happened, They shut down using YouTube Space, and now YouTube Space has been converted into a Google Office, so you can't even use it in the same fashion anymore. But ideally, I would love to one day have a studio that's not just like in my apartment, despite the nice acoustics. I would like to have a full-blown studio where I could do a video podcast and bring on people, because I genuinely like talking to other content creators, as I'm sure you do as well, because you're doing this series. And I find that kind of thing fascinating. And I am in a really fortunate situation where I've worked with other creators, but I've worked with a lot of brands, and I have a lot of connections that are completely removed from the YouTube and gaming sphere that I know would make interesting interviews for an upcoming series. So those are things I always just sort of keep in my back pocket. And one day, I don't know, maybe when I hit like 1 million subscribers or something, I'll go, okay, I can retire. This is what I'm going to do. I'll start coasting and doing a video podcast for the time being. Not what I'm planning on doing.
The Nintendo YouTube Studio.
That would ideally be amazing, right? Having it where it's all decked out in Nintendo gear, but with, all my One Piece statues in the background and things. I think that'd be great. Yeah. Uh-oh.
So fun fact to everyone watching, I can't actually see Roger right now. Because
that's right.
For some, yeah.
See, I can talk while I'm doing it. I don't particularly mind. I can multitask.
Oh, fantastic. Questions. What do you think of YouTube Shorts? You do YouTube Shorts.
I do YouTube Shorts. I would do them more if I found them extremely beneficial, but I don't for the time being.
Right, that's a very clear, succinct answer.
Yes, but I will say, fellow Nintendo brand ambassador of mine goes by the name Ichi Badass. He started doing YouTube Shorts for Five Nights at Freddy's, randomly enough. He did a short talking about a secret that was in that game. The short blew up overnight, got like 3 million views because it hit the algorithm just right. And he made the very wise decision to say, this was a 30-second video. I could just crank out a bunch of these. And so he pre-recorded a ton of them and uploaded them each one day after another, and jumped by, I shit you not, 150,000 subscribers in 1 month from sub 20,000 in 1 month. So like, the shorts definitely work for some people. For me, they're more just like a way for me to get my meme juices flowing. If there's something that I would have previously uploaded as just a short meme video, which I've been doing since like my channel first started, and people are always like, why are you uploading these to your channel? I basically, I would just end up putting it on shorts now, and it doesn't really hurt me in the algorithm to do it as it would have before. Excuse me.
I've just looked up your colleague here. And whilst that story is amazing, I would still caution people about YouTube Shorts, because most of his latest videos, they're not getting over like 1,000 views in terms of shorts. So
exactly.
They're not like finding their way to the short shelf. It was that one
that
like
jump.
Viral string. Yeah.
Right. And he found the consistency of it, right? He knew this is going to go viral. I'll do more of them. And now, he just cranks them out because he enjoys making them and stuff, and will continuously upload more. But I mean, he found the right thing at the right time and did what everybody has to do, and that's ride that wave. And I think the other part of it is knowing when to get off the wave and to do something else. So,
yes, like I'll probably throw this up, but he has close to 250,000 subscribers now. And a couple of his latest videos are getting less than 300 views. So I think that tells the story enough on its own.
But it's weird because his subscriber growth is from short form content. So I do wonder, and I've talked to him about this too, if that comes from, because I haven't seen his shorts recently, and I'll have to go back and watch the video. I don't have access to like where I could pull it up right now. But I know that string of shorts for like a month all did really, really well. But his video content didn't do anywhere near those numbers. Because, again, he was used to just making content for his core audience and got this weird new audience out of shorts that is strictly there for that. The shorts show up in the algorithm, and once they stop watching the shorts and move on to a different topic, they won't show up anymore, which is then how you end up with like 300 views on a video topic that before would have gotten you 3.5 million.
Well, what is one thing that you wish you knew when you first started YouTube?
One thing I wish I knew when I first started YouTube.
That is the question, yes.
Yeah, I know. I'm repeating it to myself to think of an answer and buy myself time. That the comments are not real life. And what I mean by that, and the way I look at the comment section now, is I see it as a bunch of dads that have just worked 12-hour shifts the entire week, who are then going to watch a football game on Friday night. They go to their local pub. They don't hate the football team that their team is playing against. They don't hate them, but they say, I hate this guy. I can't believe this guy. I hope this guy dies. All this other stuff says this, like, stuff that you would never normally say to this person in real life. And in many cases, if that football player walked up to them on the street, they would probably go, oh my God, I love your stuff. You're amazing. Like, I love you. But because they're in that mode, right, where they're just shit talking and going with the flow, and they're getting a little tipsy, and they're not really thinking about that there's a person on the other side of the screen, they're just saying whatever it is that's coming to their minds. And I think when you understand that that's really what the YouTube comments are, you'll be in a much healthier mindset.
What would be Rogersbase's top 3 tips for a beginner YouTuber to succeed?
Easy. I've talked about this on other streams before. Number 1, don't do something you are not passionate about. Even if it gets you a lot of viewership, you're going to burn yourself out real quick. Only cover things that you are passionate about. That's number 1. Number 2, if you see a trend, ride the trend. Do not be afraid of it, because you might get a lot of viewers from that trend that you might not necessarily see long-term latch onto your videos, but you'd be surprised the amount of people that will end up crossing over. I mean, you'll see this with anime stuff all the time with gaming content, right? Like, I wouldn't necessarily expect a Kingdom Hearts video to do well, or like the perfect prime example of this is Smash Brothers, right? And yet the Smash videos and like my solo leveling videos too, when I started doing manhwa stuff, have done better consistently than my One Piece stuff, which is my bread and butter. So I'd say don't be afraid to ride certain waves and to, do more things so long as you are still passionate about them. That doesn't counteract what I said at first. And the third thing I would also say, which is kind of like a weird one, and you might not necessarily get to this point for a while, don't be afraid to work with brands, but don't sell out to brands that you are not confident in. I think that is so crucial. I think you could see so many of these other YouTubers that once they start to get a little bit of an audience, they start working with these brands that aren't really brands that resonate with their core audience, right? They're brands that maybe are paying a lot of money, that'll look really good on your pay stub at the end of the month from Google, but in reality are not helping you. So I would say that would be the other key one, is only do brand deals with companies that you genuinely like.
Yes, I'm definitely guilty of that. I've had some weird sponsorships that have very little to do with my audience, and I think they're mad for approaching me in the first place. But yes.
Oh yeah, see, you gotta do what I did way back in the day. There was a video I did with War Dragons, which was a mobile game, and this was one of the only instances in which I broke that rule of mine, where I'm like, I'm gonna work with this company because they paid an astronomical amount of money for this little clip that was in a One Piece Theory video. But what I did was I told them, no edits whatsoever. I'm going to edit this the way I want to edit it. You're not going to tell me otherwise, and I'm going to upload it. And that's it. And they said, okay, that's fine. And that's why that went okay. And it was in a video that then ended up getting like well over 100,000 views. And at the time, I only had like 60 or 70,000 subscribers. So
what's next for Rogersbase? What's the next video that's coming up on the old channel?
Man, I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming out. I think you already said, as is the case with my variety channel, right? I've got my Avatar Watch Through series starting next week. Already started doing the live streams. Those are now available for members on YouTube. But you guys will see the reaction recaps for that next week. Just uploaded a song cover of Bluebird from Naruto, which was a really cool jazz collab with this amazing team of musicians called the Consuls. If you haven't seen them, go check them out. Of course, I've got a One Piece review coming up on Sunday, as is the case every Sunday. I live stream at 8 a.m. Pacific time alongside the official release. And then I've also got some cool gaming videos coming up too. I'm sure there's going to be a Nintendo Direct in the near future, so I'll be reacting to that. Switch Sports just came out, so that'll be fun to revisit the iconic Wii Bowling and Wii Tennis again in 2022. So yeah, wide variety of content. If you like Nintendo or One Piece or anime or games, check me out.
That was probably one of the most masterful plugs I have ever heard.
I've also got that brand unity, which helps. Rogersbase on YouTube, on Twitter, and Twitch, and on Instagram. at Rogersbase everywhere.
Thank you so much, Mr. Unified Rogersbase, for stopping by. It was a pleasure to feature your brand on this channel.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Liam. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much again for stopping by. And traditionally, I don't know how to end these videos because I'm a very awkward man, so I won't.
End it the way I end my videos. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, knock 'em! There you go. Simple.
That'll do. I'll just use that.